I am Alexandra, 32 years old, and until 6 weeks ago, I was a senior account executive at MarketEdge Solutions. After 5 years of dedicated service, I never expected to be fired and humiliated by our new VP who sneered that I was replaceable. Little did he know my so-called replaceable role would cost them their top 3 clients and $30 million in annual revenue. Now they are begging me to come back, threatening legal action if I refuse. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to see more stories of workplace justice like mine. My journey in marketing began well before MarketEdge Solutions. I graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a double major in marketing and business administration. I was always drawn to the creative yet strategic nature of marketing, the way it bridged art and commerce. Fresh out of college, I jumped into an entry-level position at a small agency in Philadelphia, eager to prove myself in the real world. Over the next 5 years, I worked my way up through 2 different agencies, learning the ropes of client management, campaign development, and the delicate art of relationship building. By the time I turned 27, I had a solid reputation in the industry and a growing portfolio of successful campaigns. That was when MarketEdge Solutions recruited me, offering a senior account executive position that felt like the perfect next step in my career. MarketEdge was different from my previous employers. It was larger, more established, with a roster of impressive clients across various industries. But what truly set it apart was the culture. Under the leadership of Richard Thompson, the founding CEO, the company valued both results and relationships. We were encouraged to truly understand our clients, to become partners in their success rather than just service providers. During my first week, Richard himself took me to lunch. I remember his words clearly. He said, "Alexandra, at MarketEdge, we believe that marketing is ultimately about people connecting with people. Numbers matter, but relationships matter more." That philosophy resonated deeply with me, and I threw myself into embodying those values. At MarketEdge, I found not just colleagues, but friends. Stephanie Wilson, our creative director, became my closest ally. With her wild curly hair and infectious laugh, she could turn even the most stressful deadline into an adventure. Then there was James Rodriguez, our data analyst, whose quiet brilliance complemented my more outgoing approach to problem solving. Together, we formed a tight-knit trio, supporting each other through challenges and celebrating each win as a team. Within my first year, I was assigned to manage what would become our 3 largest accounts. North Star Enterprises, a technology firm specializing in enterprise software solutions, was worth $12 million annually. Green Future Innovations, a sustainable energy company expanding rapidly across the country, brought in $8 million. And Pinnacle Solutions, a luxury real estate development firm, contributed $10 million to our bottom line. Together, these 3 clients represented nearly 30% of the company revenue. What made me successful with these clients was not just delivering results, though I certainly did that. It was the relationships I built, the trust I earned, and my deep understanding of their unique needs and challenges. With North Star, I developed a particularly close professional friendship with their Chief Marketing Officer, Samantha Davis. Both of us were women in our 30s navigating male-dominated industries, and we bonded over that shared experience. We would often extend our business lunches to discuss everything from marketing trends to our favorite mystery novels. This personal connection meant Samantha trusted me with sensitive information about upcoming products, giving our team time to develop comprehensive launch strategies well in advance of their competitors. Green Future was a different kind of client altogether. Their mission of accelerating the transition to renewable energy wasn't just a business goal, but a passionate cause. I made it my priority to understand not just their marketing needs, but their environmental values. I personally visited their solar farms and wind installations, even spending a weekend volunteering with their community outreach program. This immersion allowed me to speak authentically about their work, and the campaigns we created reflected a genuine understanding of their vision that resonated with their target audience. Pinnacle Solutions presented unique challenges with their luxury real estate portfolio. Their approval process was notoriously complex, with multiple stakeholders weighing in on every decision. Where previous account managers had grown frustrated with the constant revisions and seeming indecisiveness, I created a custom approval workflow that accommodated their corporate culture while gently guiding them toward more efficient decision-making. The CEO of Pinnacle once remarked that I understood their company better than some of their own executives. For 5 years, this approach worked beautifully. Our campaigns won. Industry awards client satisfaction scores were consistently high and the company grew steadily. I was recognized with performance bonuses, promoted to senior account executive, and even featured in the company newsletter as an example of excellence in client relations. Richard often introduced me to new clients as the heart and soul of Market Edge. The first sign of change came about 6 months ago. Richard announced that Market Edge had been acquired by Vertex Global, a larger marketing conglomerate with offices across 3 continents. He assured us that this acquisition would mean exciting growth opportunities while preserving our unique culture. For the first month, nothing much changed beyond new logos on our presentations and updated email signatures. Then came the announcement of strategic restructuring to align with global best practices. New management positions were created, filled primarily by executives from Vertex rather than promotions from within our ranks. The subtle shifts began almost immediately. Weekly team meetings became more focused on metrics and less on creative solutions or relationship building. New standardized reporting templates replaced our more customized client updates. The emphasis shifted from client satisfaction to efficiency and scalability. "We need to operate more like a machine and less like a family business," said one of the new directors during an all-hands meeting. I remember exchanging concerned glances with Stephanie across the conference room, both of us sensing that something fundamental was changing. When our beloved office manager Margaret was let go after 15 years with the company and replaced by an automated scheduling system, I felt the first real pang of worry. The warm, personal touch that had defined Market Edge was being systematically dismantled, and I wondered what it would mean for our client relationships built on that very foundation. I expressed my concerns during a department meeting, suggesting that we might be losing something valuable in the pursuit of standardization. The new operations director smiled tightly and assured me that change is always uncomfortable but necessary for growth. That night I called Richard directly, hoping for reassurance. "Alexandra, I understand your concerns," he said, sounding tired. "But Vertex has a proven track record of scaling agencies, and we need to trust the process. Just keep doing what you do best with your clients and everything will be fine." I wanted to believe him, but the growing knot in my stomach told me otherwise. Something was coming. Something that threatened everything I had built at Market Edge. I just did not know yet how right that feeling would prove to be. The email announcing Bradley Parker as our new Vice President of Client Relations arrived on a Monday morning. Attached was a professional headshot of a man in his early 40s with slicked back hair and a smile that did not quite reach his eyes. His biography detailed an impressive career at major marketing firms and an MBA from an elite business school, but noticeably absent was any mention of client relationship management or retention success. Our first department meeting with Bradley set the tone for what was to come. He stood at the head of the conference table in an impeccably tailored suit, surveying us with a calculating gaze. "I have reviewed our client portfolio and identified significant inefficiencies in how we manage our key accounts," he announced without preamble. "Too much customization, too many one-off solutions, and not enough scalable processes. This ends now." When he pulled up a slide showing a new standardized client management protocol, I raised my hand. "Bradley, I manage our 3 largest accounts and each has very specific expectations and processes that have been developed over years of collaboration. How will this standardization accommodate their unique needs?" His eyes fixed on me with barely concealed annoyance. "Miss Reynolds, is it? This is precisely the problem I am addressing. No client should be receiving bespoke treatment that cannot be replicated. It creates dependency on individual account managers rather than on our company systems. But our relationships with these clients are built on understanding their unique challenges," I persisted. "Northstar specifically values our customized reporting, and Green Future needs our specialized approach to their sustainability messaging." Bradley smiled thinly. "That may have been the old Market Edge approach, but moving forward we will implement best practices that reduce variability and increase efficiency. I suggest you get on board quickly with these changes." The meeting continued with Bradley outlining his vision for a more streamlined client management approach, but I could hardly focus through my growing concern. Everything he proposed contradicted what had made us successful with our key accounts. Later that week, I was scheduled to present our quarterly strategy to Pinnacle Solutions. I had spent weeks preparing a comprehensive plan that addressed their specific challenges in the luxury real estate market, complete with custom research and tailored creative concepts. 10 minutes into my presentation, Bradley walked in unannounced and took a seat at the back of the room. I continued professionally, but when I reached the section on our personalized approach to marketing their most exclusive properties, he interrupted. What Alexandra is describing is actually being phased out in favor of our new premium property protocol, he said smoothly, addressing the Pinnacle executives directly. We have found that a more standardized approach yields better results across various luxury markets. The clients looked confused. Carol Bennett, Pinnacle's marketing director, frowned slightly. But we have been seeing excellent results with the customized campaigns Alexandra has developed. Our Manhattan properties saw a 40% increase in qualified leads last quarter. And imagine how much better those results could be with our new data-driven approach, Bradley countered, standing to take over the presentation. I sat in stunned silence as he proceeded to outline a completely different strategy than what we had discussed, promising efficiencies and economies of scale that sounded impressive but lacked the nuanced understanding of Pinnacle's unique position in the market. After the meeting, Carol pulled me aside. Alexandra, what is happening? This new approach does not align with what we have discussed for the coming year. I tried to reassure her while masking my own concerns. There are some new ideas being implemented, but I will ensure that your specific needs continue to be met. Trust me on this. She squeezed my arm gently. We trust you, Alexandra. That is why we stay with Market Edge. The situation with Green Future proved even more problematic. Bradley insisted on taking point on their upcoming sustainability campaign despite my warnings about their specific expectations regarding environmental messaging. Their CEO is particularly sensitive about greenwashing, I explained during our strategy session. All claims need to be backed by verifiable data, and the tone needs to reflect authentic commitment rather than marketing opportunism. Bradley dismissed my concerns with a wave of his hand. All clients say they want authenticity. What they really want is results. My approach will deliver those results. When the first drafts of the campaign were presented to Green Future, their response was immediate and negative. Michael Chen, their sustainability director, sent a scathing email questioning whether Market Edge still understood their core values. I forwarded the email to Bradley with a note offering to help salvage the situation. His response was, "Kurt, I will handle this. Do not contact the client directly." The final blow came when I discovered I had been excluded from a critical meeting with North Star Enterprises. I only found out when Samantha texted me, "Missing you at today's strategy session. The new guy is certainly different from you." I immediately checked my calendar and email, finding no invitation or even notification about the meeting. When I confronted Bradley afterward, his response was chilling. "North Star is too dependent on their relationship with you. Specifically," he said. "That represents a risk to the company. I am diversifying our points of contact to ensure client retention, regardless of individual personnel." "But Samantha and I have built a relationship over years," I protested. "That trust is why they bring their challenges to us first before competitors. Relationships are not scalable, Alexandra. Systems are." He turned back to his computer, clearly dismissing me. That evening, I drafted a careful email to Richard documenting my concerns about the changing approach to our key clients and the potential risk to these valuable relationships. I included specific examples and client feedback, maintaining a professional tone while clearly outlining the issues. His response came the next morning, brief and non-committal. "I appreciate your perspective, Alexandra. Bradley brings significant experience from larger agencies. Give his methods time to show results." Over the next few weeks, I watched with growing alarm as Bradley systematically dismantled the client relationships I had carefully built. Standard templates replaced customized reports. Personal check-in calls were discouraged in favor of automated satisfaction surveys. Client concerns were addressed with corporate talking points rather than genuine problem-solving. "He is going to drive away our biggest clients," I confided to Stephanie over lunch. "Everything that made them choose us in the first place is being eliminated." Stephanie nodded grimly. "It is happening across all departments. The creative team has been told to use more templates and stock assets to improve efficiency. Quality is becoming secondary to quantity. Have you spoken with Richard? I asked. I tried. He seems distracted constantly in meetings with the Vertex executives. I get the feeling he is not really in charge anymore. As the weeks passed, the warning signs from our key accounts became impossible to ignore. Emails went from friendly exchanges to formal inquiries. Calls that once lasted an hour of productive discussion shortened to brief, perfunctory check-ins. Decision-makers who had always been accessible suddenly became unavailable, with communications routed through assistants instead. I documented everything meticulously, creating a file of concerning client feedback and declining engagement metrics. I sent weekly updates to both Bradley and Richard, trying to sound the alarm without seeming insubordinate. Bradley's responses grew increasingly hostile. Your resistance to change is becoming a problem. Alexandra, he wrote in one email. Perhaps you are too emotionally attached to these clients to see the bigger picture. The stress began taking a toll on me physically. I developed insomnia, lying awake, worrying about my clients and my future at the company. I lost weight as my appetite diminished, and frequent headaches became my constant companion. James noticed during one particularly difficult afternoon. You look exhausted, Alex, he said gently. Maybe you should take some time off. I shook my head. I cannot leave my clients right now. They are already struggling with the new systems. If I disappear too, they might give up on us entirely. Just be careful, he warned. Bradley is looking for reasons to push out the old guard. Do not give him ammunition. I should have heeded James's warning, but my commitment to my clients outweighed my political savvy. When North Star received a standardized strategy presentation filled with generic recommendations that ignored their specific market challenges, I stepped in to create an alternative proposal overnight, sending it directly to Samantha with a common, apologetic note. Looking back, I realized that was probably the final strike against me. But even knowing the consequences, I am not sure I could have done differently. Some principles are worth standing for, even at significant personal cost. The morning it happened started like any other. I arrived at the office at 7:30 a.m., earlier than most of my colleagues, to prepare for a client call. The office was quiet, just the way I liked it in those early hours, giving me space to think and plan without interruptions. My desk phone rang at 9:15 a.m., unusual since most communication happened via email or cell phones these days. It was Melissa from HR, her voice carefully neutral. Alexandra, could you come to the executive conference room? Bradley and I need to speak with you. A cold weight settled in my stomach. Is everything all right? I have a client call scheduled for 10. This will not take long, she replied, not answering my question. Please come now. As I walked down the hallway, my mind raced through possibilities. Perhaps they wanted to discuss the North Star situation. Or maybe this was about the declining satisfaction scores Bradley kept emphasizing, though I knew those were largely a result of his own policies. When I entered the conference room, Bradley was seated at the head of the table, Melissa beside him, with a folder neatly placed before her. Neither smiled as I entered. Take a seat, Alexandra, Bradley said, gesturing to a chair across from them. I sat down, keeping my expression neutral, despite the anxiety building inside me. We have been reviewing the account management structure. Bradley began, not bothering with pleasantries, and have determined that your position is no longer aligned with our strategic direction. It took a moment for his words to register. Are you saying I am being let go? Bradley leaned forward, a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. Your contribution is replaceable, sweetheart. We are implementing systems that will allow any competent account manager to handle the relationships you have personalized to an unnecessary degree. The condescending tone and the dismissive sweetheart hit me like a physical blow. I straightened in my chair, determined not to show how deeply his words cut. Melissa slid a document across the table. This is your severance package. 2 months salary, continuation of benefits for 60 days, and a positive reference in exchange for signing this non-disclosure agreement, and a commitment not to solicit any Market Edge clients for a period of 2 years. I stared at the papers, still processing what was happening. 5 years of dedicated service, countless late nights and weekends, sacrificed for the company, relationships built with care and attention, all dismissed in a 2-minute conversation. I need to review these documents before signing anything, I said, finding my voice. Of course, Melissa replied. But we will need your decision by the end of the day. Company policy requires that you leave the premises immediately. I will escort you to collect your personal belongings. What about my clients? I have ongoing projects and commitments. They will be concerned if I suddenly disappear. Bradley waved dismissively. We will handle the transition. A standard email will go out informing them of personnel changes. As Melissa led me back to my desk, colleagues looked up curiously, then quickly away when they realized what was happening. The walk of shame, box in arms, escorted by HR. A scene I had witnessed before but never imagined experiencing myself. At my desk, Stephanie approached despite Melissa's discouraging look. What is happening? She whispered, as I numbly placed personal items in the cardboard box provided. Apparently I am replaceable, I said, the words bitter on my tongue. She squeezed my arm. This is wrong, Alex. Call me later. As I packed, a detail from my employment contract flashed in my mind, something about key personnel and client relationships. I could not quite remember the specifics, but I made a mental note to review it carefully at home. Walking through the lobby for the last time as an employee, I held my head high despite the tears threatening to spill. In my car, however, the composure crumbled. I sat there for nearly an hour, alternating between tears of hurt and flashes of anger, replaying Bradley's smug expression and condescending sweetheart over and over. The drive home passed in a blur. I placed the box of desk items on my kitchen counter and collapsed onto my couch, still in my work clothes, as the reality of my situation sank in. 5 years at Market Edge ended abruptly and callously. My identity had become so intertwined with my professional role that its sudden absence left me feeling hollow. That first weekend was a haze of emotion. I cycled through disbelief, rage, anxiety, and despair. I ignored calls from friends and family, needing time to process before having to explain what had happened. I barely ate or slept, instead pacing my apartment and replaying every interaction with Bradley, searching for what I could have done differently. By Monday morning, panic about my financial situation set in. While the severance would cover immediate expenses, the job market was competitive, and finding a comparable position could take months. I forced myself to shower, dress professionally, and sit at my computer to update my resume. The task felt surreal. How could I summarize 5 years of dedication in bullet points? How could I explain my sudden availability without sounding bitter or damaged? Still, I methodically documented my achievements, the campaigns I had led, the client relationships. I had built the revenue I had generated for Market Edge. Midway through this process, my phone rang with a familiar number. Samantha from North Star. I hesitated before answering, unsure whether I was emotionally ready for this conversation. Alexandra, I just received the strangest email from Market Edge saying you are no longer with the company. What is going on? I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. It is true, Samantha. There has been a shift in management philosophy, and my approach to client relationships was deemed unnecessary. Unnecessary. She sounded incredulous. You are the reason we have stayed with Market Edge through 3 contract renewals. Who will be handling our account now? They have assured me there will be a smooth transition, I said diplomatically, though I doubted it would be true. This Bradley person has been assigned as our primary contact. He sent over a completely standardized strategy deck that could have been created for any tech company. It does not address any of our specific challenges. I wanted to criticize Bradley to warn her about what was coming, but professionalism held me back. I am sure they will work to understand your needs better over time. Alexandra, she said after a pause, when your situation settles, I would like to talk further. Privately. The conversation left me with mixed emotions. Validation that my work had been valued, yes, but also concern for the clients I had come to care about. And beneath it all, a creeping question that Bradley's dismissive attitude had planted. Was I truly as valuable as I had believed, or had I been deluding myself all along? For years I had received praise bonuses in recognition for my work. Clients had specifically requested me and expressed appreciation for my approach. But now, cast aside so easily, I found myself questioning my professional worth in a way I never had before. As I stared at my half-completed resume, the words blurred before my eyes. If 5 years of dedicated service could be dismissed as replaceable, what did that say about me, about my career, about the relationships I had believed were meaningful? These questions haunted me as I navigated the first days of unexpected unemployment, sending out applications and making networking calls with a confidence I did not truly feel. The future stretched before me, uncertain and intimidating, as I struggled to redefine my professional identity apart from the company that had so unceremoniously discarded me. 2 weeks after my termination, my phone rang on a Tuesday afternoon. It was Stephanie calling during what should have been a client meeting. "I had to call you," she said, her voice hushed. "Things are falling apart here, Alex." I sat up straighter. "What do you mean?" "North Star is furious." Bradley presented them with a completely revamped campaign strategy without any consideration for their previous feedback or market position. Samantha walked out of the meeting halfway through. A small, shameful part of me felt vindicated, but mostly I felt sad for the relationships being damaged. What did Richard say? He was not even there. Bradley handled it alone and told Richard it was just a minor disagreement about creative direction. She paused. But that is not all. Green Future is threatening to pull their account too. What happened, I asked, though I could guess. Bradley launched their sustainability campaign without getting final approval on the messaging. Some of the claims were not fully verified, and now they are facing backlash on social media for greenwashing. Michael is livid. He specifically asked where you were and why you had let this happen. I closed my eyes, imagining the damage to Green Future's carefully cultivated, authentic image. Did anyone tell him I was fired? Bradley told him you had moved on to other opportunities and that the campaign had been approved through proper channels. It is a mess, Alex. After we hung up, I sat staring at my phone, conflicted about what to do. Part of me wanted to reach out to my former clients to explain what had happened and offer guidance, but doing so could potentially violate the non-disclosure agreement I had not yet signed and possibly burn bridges I might need in the future. The decision was taken out of my hands the next day when Samantha called again. "Alexandra, I will be direct. We have serious concerns about continuing with Market Edge. The new team does not understand our business or our market. We are considering other agencies." I chose my words with extreme care. "I am sorry to hear that your experience has changed, Samantha. What I want to know is, are you looking for new opportunities? Because if you land somewhere with a better understanding of client relationships, North Star would be very interested in following you." Her words sent both a thrill of validation and a wave of anxiety through me. "I am exploring options right now," I said cautiously. "But I need to be careful about any discussions regarding Market Edge clients." "I understand," she replied. "Just know that our loyalty was to you and your approach, not to the agency itself." 3 weeks after my firing, the business news broke North Star Enterprises had terminated their $12 million contract with Market Edge Solutions. The press release cited strategic differences and evolving marketing needs, but industry insiders recognized it for what it was, a major client jumping ship. Market Edge's stock dropped 8% that day. Analysts began questioning whether the recent management changes at the agency were causing instability. I watched from the sidelines, refreshing financial news sites and reading industry blogs with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. A week later, Green Future made their own announcement. Following the controversial campaign that had questioned their environmental commitments, they were moving their business to a boutique agency specializing in sustainability communications. Another $8 million gone from Market Edge's annual revenue. The market reacted even more strongly this time, with the stock plummeting 15% in a single trading day. Business publications that had previously praised the Vertex acquisition of Market Edge now ran articles questioning the wisdom of dismantling a successful company culture. LinkedIn updates from former colleagues told the story of growing chaos within the company. Emergency meetings blame being passed around, increasing pressure on remaining account managers to reassure nervous clients. Stephanie texted me daily updates describing Bradley's increasingly desperate attempts to staunch the bleeding. "He actually said in a meeting today that the clients who left were not aligned with our new vision anyway," she wrote. As if losing $20 million in annual revenue was somehow strategic. Then came the call I had half expected. Thomas Wright, the chief marketing officer at Pinnacle Solutions, reached out directly to my personal number. "Alexandra, I will be blunt. The service we have received since your departure has been abysmal. 3 different account managers in as many weeks, none of whom understand our approval processes or brand standards. We are considering our options." "I am sorry to hear that, Thomas," I said, maintaining professionalism. Would you be open to consulting directly with us? We value your understanding of our business and would compensate you accordingly. The offer was tempting but complicated. I would need to review my separation agreement carefully before discussing any potential arrangement. Of course, but please do consider it. The presentation we received yesterday was so off-brand that our CEO asked if MarketEdge had assigned interns to our account. I promised to think about it and hung up immediately, calling a lawyer friend for a referral to someone specializing in employment contracts. The opportunity to work directly with my former clients was appealing, but I needed to understand my legal position first. 2 days later, news broke that Pinnacle Solutions had also terminated their relationship with MarketEdge. 3 major clients gone in less than a month, representing $30 million in annual revenue, nearly 30% of the company's business. Industry blogs were having a field day. MarketEdge meltdown: how new management drove away top clients, read one headline. Another asked, is Bradley Parker the most expensive hire in agency history, complete with a calculation of the revenue lost under his leadership. Watching from the outside as the company I had helped build crumbled was a surreal experience. Mixed with the vindication was genuine sadness for the colleagues still there navigating the chaos and uncertainty, and for the clients who had been dropped into a situation not of their making, forced to rebuild marketing partnerships from scratch. I finally signed a modified version of the severance agreement negotiated by my new employment attorney to remove the non-compete clause. With that legal hurdle cleared, I began having preliminary conversations with former clients about potential consulting arrangements. These discussions quickly evolved into something more substantial. Samantha from Northstar suggested I consider launching my own agency with their business as my first client. The idea was both terrifying and exhilarating. I had never planned to start my own company, but the circumstances seemed to be pushing me in that direction. I rented a small office space and began setting up the basic infrastructure for a boutique marketing agency. Business cards, a simple website, the necessary legal and financial frameworks. I reached out to trusted former colleagues who I thought might be interested in joining a new venture, laying the groundwork for what might come next. As these pieces fell into place, I tried to process my complicated feelings about MarketEdge's downfall. I took no joy in seeing a company I had once loved struggle, nor in knowing that people's jobs might be at risk. But there was a certain poetic justice in the fact that the relationships Bradley had dismissed as unnecessary had proven to be the company's most valuable assets after all. 6 weeks after my firing, just as I was beginning to feel settled into my new path forward, an unexpected name appeared on my ringing phone: Richard Thompson, CEO of MarketEdge Solutions. I stared at my phone, Richard's name flashing on the screen. After 6 weeks of silence, why would he be calling now? Curiosity overcame my hesitation, and I answered. Richard, this is a surprise. Alexandra, he said, his tone formal, but with an underlying tension I had never heard from him before. I hope you are doing well. Do you have a few minutes to talk? I do, I replied cautiously. Good. He cleared his throat. I wanted to discuss the circumstances of your departure from MarketEdge. My firing, you mean, I corrected gently, unwilling to let him sanitize what had happened. A beat of silence. Yes, that. I want you to know that I was not fully informed of Bradley's decision at the time. The situation was presented to me after the fact, and I regret not intervening. This admission surprised me. Richard had always been hands-on with key personnel decisions. I see. The truth is, Alexandra, we have experienced some challenges since your departure. I have heard, I said neutrally. Then you know we have lost significant client relationships. His voice took on a more urgent tone. 30 million in annual contracts, Alexandra. Nearly a third of our revenue. The board is in panic mode and Vertex is threatening to replace the entire executive team. I remained silent, letting him continue. We need you back, Alexandra. The clients have made it clear that their relationships were with you, not with MarketEdge as an entity. We are prepared to offer you a substantial package to return. Double your previous salary, a director-level position, autonomy over your client relationships. The offer was better than I had expected, but something in his tone bothered me. This was not about recognizing my value. This was damage control. I appreciate the offer, Richard, but I have begun exploring other opportunities. His voice hardened slightly. Alexandra, I should remind you that your employment contract contains significant non-compete and confidentiality provisions. Our legal team has expressed concern that your discussions with former Market Edge clients may constitute a violation of those terms. And there it was. The veiled threat beneath the generous offer. Are you threatening me with legal action, Richard? Not at all, he backpedaled. I am simply pointing out that there are contractual obligations that could become complicated if you were to work with these clients independently. Returning to Market Edge would resolve those complications for everyone involved. I took a deep breath. I will need to review my contract and consider your offer. I will get back to you. We need an answer quickly, Alexandra. The situation is becoming untenable. Can we expect your response by tomorrow? I will need at least until the end of the week. This is not a decision I can make lightly. He agreed reluctantly, and we ended the call. I sat motionless for several minutes, processing what had just happened. From replaceable to desperately needed in 6 weeks. From dismissal to double salary and threats of legal action. My first call was to Jennifer Morris, the employment attorney who had helped me with my severance agreement. They want you back, and they are using legal threats to pressure you, she summarized after I explained the situation. Let me review your original employment contract again. There might be something they are overlooking. We scheduled a meeting for the following morning at her office. I spent the evening digging through my files for all documentation related to my employment at Market Edge, from the original contract to performance reviews to emails about client relationships. Jennifer's office was in a sleek downtown building with views of the city skyline. She greeted me warmly, then immediately dove into the documents I had brought. Standard non-compete, standard confidentiality provisions, she murmured as she flipped through the contract. Nothing unusual there. But wait, what is this? She pointed to a section near the end of the document labeled Key Person Designation. This is interesting, she said, reading more carefully. This clause designates you as a key person in relation to specific client relationships. It states that if you are terminated without documented performance, cause all non-compete and confidentiality provisions related to those specific clients become null and void. My heart raced. What does that mean exactly? It means, Jennifer said, looking up with a smile, that if they fired you without documenting performance issues, you are free to work with North Star Green Future and Pinnacle immediately without any legal repercussions. I do not remember this clause, I admitted. Why would they include something that protects me rather than them? These types of provisions are sometimes included to reassure important clients that their designated contact cannot be arbitrarily removed and replaced. It protects the client relationship as much as it protects you. She leaned back in her chair. Do you have any documentation about your termination? Was poor performance cited as the reason? I shook my head. Bradley said my position was no longer aligned with their strategic direction, and that my contribution was replaceable. Nothing about my performance was mentioned. Jennifer's smile widened. Then, according to this clause, you are free and clear to work with those clients. Richard's legal threats are completely baseless. Relief washed over me, followed by a wave of righteous satisfaction. So, what do I do now? You have options, Jennifer said. You could simply inform Richard that you are declining his offer and remind him of the key person clause, which would likely end the matter. Or, she added with a gleam in her eye, you could agree to meet with him, and the executive team let them make their case, and then reveal your knowledge of the clause. That might be more satisfying given how they treated you. I considered both approaches. The direct route would be cleaner, but after Bradley's condescending dismissal and Richard's threatening tone, the idea of facing them in person held undeniable appeal. I think I want to meet with them, I decided. Not out of spite, but because I want them to understand exactly what they did wrong, so perhaps they will not repeat it with someone else. Jennifer nodded approvingly. A professional approach to a personal satisfaction. I like it. She began outlining a strategy for the meeting, advising me on what documentation to bring and how to handle potential challenges. I called Richard that afternoon and agreed to meet with the executive team the following day. I will hear what you have to say, but I make no promises, I told him. Thank you, Alexandra. I appreciate your willingness to listen. That evening I prepared meticulously for the meeting. I gathered client emails expressing their satisfaction with my work performance reviews, documenting my value to the company, and most importantly, a highlighted copy of the key person clause from my contract. I chose my outfit with care, a navy blue suit that projected confidence and professionalism. As I laid everything out for the morning, I reflected on how much had changed in 6 weeks. From the humiliation of being escorted from the building with my possessions in a box, to returning on my own terms with newfound leverage. The nervous energy I felt was not anxiety but anticipation. I slept surprisingly well that night. Perhaps because for the first time since my firing, I felt fully in control of the situation. Whatever happened in that meeting tomorrow, I would be standing on solid ground, defending not just my own worth but the principle that relationships and people matter in business. Morning came with a sense of clarity and purpose. I dressed carefully, ate a proper breakfast, and mentally rehearsed the key points I wanted to make. This meeting was not just about my individual situation, but about challenging a destructive approach to business that valued systems over people, efficiency over relationships. The drive to my former office building felt surreal. 6 weeks ago, I had left in tears, questioning my value and future. Today, I returned with a clear understanding of both. As I parked in the visitor section rather than my old spot, I took a deep breath and reminded myself I was not coming back as a supplicant, but as an equal party to a negotiation. Walking toward the building, I straightened my shoulders and lifted my chin. Whatever happened next, I would face it with dignity and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your own worth. I stepped into the familiar lobby of Market Edge headquarters, the place where I had spent countless days over the past 5 years. The security guard did a double take when he saw me. "Miss Reynolds, welcome back," he said with genuine warmth. "Just visiting today, Joe," I replied, signing the visitor log he pushed toward me. "They are waiting for you in the main conference room," he said, handing me a visitor badge. "Quite a gathering up there." I thanked him and headed for the elevators, curious about who exactly would be attending this meeting. Richard had mentioned the executive team, but how many people constituted a crisis in their minds? As I walked through the open workspace toward the conference room, conversations stopped and heads turned. Former colleagues stared with mixtures of surprise, curiosity, and in some cases undisguised hope. Stephanie, spotting me from the creative department, gave me a discreet thumbs up. The glass walls of the main conference room revealed quite a scene inside. Richard sat at the head of the table with Bradley to his right, looking tense. 3 people in expensive suits, whom I recognized as Vertex Global executives, occupied one side of the table. On the other sat 2 men I assumed were lawyers, based on their formal attire and serious expressions. At the far end, our chief financial officer hunched over a laptop, likely calculating various financial scenarios. Richard saw me through the glass and rose quickly, coming to open the door himself. "Alexandra, thank you for coming," he said, extending his hand. I shook it briefly, maintaining a neutral expression as he led me into the room. "I believe you know most of the people here." He introduced the Vertex executives and the lawyers, confirming my assumption. "We have asked our legal counsel to join us to address any concerns you might have about the terms we are proposing." I nodded politely to everyone, noting Bradley's tight smile that did not reach his eyes. Taking the seat Richard indicated directly across from Bradley, I placed my portfolio on the table but did not open it yet. "Before we begin," Richard said, "I want to express again that we regret how your departure was handled. With full understanding of the situation now, I can say it was not in line with our company values or your contributions to Market Edge." One of the Vertex executives leaned forward. "Miss Reynolds, I am Jonathan Pierce, COO of Vertex Global. The situation with our key accounts is extremely concerning to us. We believe your relationships with these clients are crucial to retaining their business." I maintained my composed expression. "I appreciate your directness, Mr. Pierce." Richard cleared his throat. "We have prepared an offer that we believe reflects your value to the company." He slid a document across the table to me. "As I mentioned, double your previous salary, director-level position with autonomy over client relationships and a substantial signing bonus to compensate for the disruption." I glanced at the document but did not pick it up. "And what about the management philosophy that led to my dismissal in the first place? Has that changed?" Bradley shifted uncomfortably as Richard responded. "We recognize that our approach to client relationships needs to balance efficiency with the personal touch that made Market Edge successful. Your expertise in this area would be instrumental in finding that balance. One of the lawyers spoke up. We should also address the contractual situation, Miss Reynolds. Your employment agreement contains significant non-compete and confidentiality provisions that would make it legally problematic for you to work directly with market edge clients. I nodded thoughtfully. Yes, let us discuss those provisions. Additionally, the lawyer continued, should you decline to return and subsequently work with these clients, Market Edge would have no choice but to consider legal remedies to protect its business interests. Bradley, apparently unable to contain himself any longer, added, the clients may have personal relationships with you, Alexandra, but their contracts are with Market Edge. Their intellectual property and marketing strategies belong to us. I noticed Richard wince slightly at Bradley's tone. I understand your position, I said calmly. Now, may I share mine? Richard nodded eagerly. Of course, that is why we are here. I opened my portfolio and removed a stack of printed emails. These are communications from the clients in question dating back several years. They document the specific nature of our working relationships and their satisfaction with my approach. I placed them on the table. They illustrate why these clients chose Market Edge and what they valued about our partnership. Next, I removed performance reviews and recognition documents. These demonstrate that my approach to client relationships was not only approved but celebrated by Market Edge leadership until very recently. My last review, signed by you, Richard, specifically praises my irreplaceable contribution to client retention and satisfaction. Bradley interjected, past performance evaluations do not override company strategy. We needed to standardize our approach to scale effectively. And how is that scaling going? I asked quietly. $30 million in lost annual revenue would suggest the strategy had some flaws. The CFO winced visibly at the end of the table. What happened with those accounts was unfortunate, Richard said diplomatically. But with your return, we believe we can repair those relationships and implement a more balanced approach moving forward. I nodded, then removed one final document from my portfolio. There is one more item we should discuss. I placed my employment contract on the table, open to the relevant section with the key person clause, highlighted in yellow. I would like to direct your attention to section 23.4, the key person designation clause. The lawyers immediately leaned forward, scanning the text. One of them frowned deeply. For those who may not be familiar with this provision, I continued. It states that if an employee designated as a key person to specific client relationships is terminated without documented performance, cause all non-compete and confidentiality provisions related to those specific clients become null and void. A heavy silence fell over the room. The lawyers whispered urgently to each other, reviewing the contract language. I was terminated because my position was, in Bradley's words, no longer aligned with strategic direction. No performance issues were cited. According to this clause, I am free to work with North Star, Green Future, and Pinnacle immediately without any legal restrictions. Bradley's face flushed red. This is absurd. That clause was never meant to be applied this way. The more senior-looking lawyer held up a hand to silence him. Mr. Parker, please. He studied the contract carefully, then looked up at me. Miss Reynolds is correct. This clause does appear to nullify the non-compete provisions for the specified clients in this situation. Jonathan Pierce from Vertex looked stunned. Is this standard in your employment contracts, Richard? Richard shook his head, looking equally shocked. It was included in some key executive agreements during our growth phase to reassure important clients about continuity. I had forgotten it was in Alexandra's contract. Not only is it in my contract, I added, but the clients are aware of it. It was actually mentioned during contract negotiations with North Star as a reason they could trust their relationship with Market Edge. I let that information sink in before continuing. I should also inform you that I have already begun consulting directly with these clients, completely within my legal rights under this clause. Furthermore, we are in discussions about a more permanent arrangement. You cannot possibly service these accounts properly as an individual consultant. Bradley snapped his composure, cracking. These are major enterprises with complex marketing needs. I met his gaze steadily. I am not planning to remain an individual consultant, Bradley. I am launching my own agency with these 3 clients as my founding accounts. Several talented Market Edge employees have already expressed interest in joining me. The CFO at the end of the table let out an audible groan. Richard looked stricken. Alexandra, surely we can come to some arrangement. The offer we have made is extremely generous. It is, I acknowledged. But this is not just about money or title. This is about values and respect. The way I was dismissed made it clear that my approach to client relationships was not valued here anymore. The subsequent loss of those clients proved that approach was actually essential. I gathered my documents and returned them to my portfolio. I did not come here to negotiate a return. I came to ensure you understood exactly why these clients left and to clarify my legal position regarding future work with them. I stood up, smoothing my suit jacket. I would suggest that rather than focusing on getting me back, you reflect on the culture you want to build moving forward. The relationships your team builds with clients are your most valuable assets. When you dismissed those as replaceable, you lost far more than just an employee. Bradley's face was a mask of barely controlled fury. This is outrageous. You engineered this entire situation. I shook my head. No, Bradley. You engineered it when you decided that relationships were inefficient and systems were superior. I am simply responding to the opportunity you created when you called me replaceable. Richard stood as well, looking defeated. Is there nothing we can offer to change your mind? I am afraid not, I replied. I have found that sometimes being considered replaceable is the push you need to discover you are actually irreplaceable, just in a different context. With that, I thanked them for their time and walked out of the conference room with my head held high. As I passed through the open workspace, I caught Stephanie's eye and gave her a small smile. She would understand its meaning. The door to my new venture would be open for her when she was ready. The walk through the lobby and out the front doors felt like crossing a threshold into a new chapter of my life. I had entered Market Edge as a visitor and left as a competitor, all because someone had failed to recognize the true value of relationships both with clients and employees. As I drove away from the building, a weight lifted from my shoulders. The confrontation I had dreaded had instead become a moment of empowerment. Whatever challenges lay ahead with my new agency, I would face them knowing exactly what I brought to the table and never again allow anyone to call it replaceable. 3 months after that final meeting at Market Edge, I stood in the newly renovated office space of Reynolds Relationship Marketing, surrounded by champagne-toasting colleagues and our first 3 clients. The journey from fired employee to agency founder had been intense, exhausting, and ultimately the most rewarding professional experience of my life. After leaving Market Edge that day, I had immediately accelerated my plans for launching an independent agency. North Star, Green Future, and Pinnacle all signed formal contracts within weeks, providing the financial foundation needed to build something substantial rather than just a solo consultancy. Stephanie was the first to join me, bringing her creative brilliance and unwavering support. I have been waiting for the right moment to jump ship, she admitted over coffee when I formally offered her the creative director position. The place has been miserable since you left. James followed soon after, eager to apply his data skills in an environment that valued both analytics and human connection. Over the next month, 7 more former Market Edge employees joined our team, each bringing valuable expertise and shared values about how client relationships should work. Our core philosophy was embedded in our name: relationships first, marketing second. Every decision from office layout to project management systems was designed to facilitate genuine human connection while still delivering measurable results. We created a culture that celebrated both the art and science of marketing, recognizing that the most powerful campaigns emerged when both aspects worked in harmony. For our clients, the transition was remarkably smooth. Many of the team members who joined me had worked on their accounts previously, providing continuity despite the change in agency name. Samantha at North Star joked during our first official meeting. It feels like nothing changed except the logo on the presentations and the absence of unnecessary bureaucracy. The contrast with my final months at Market Edge could not have been more striking. Where Bradley had insisted on standardization, we embraced customization. Where he had prioritized systems over people, we built systems that served people. Every client received a tailored approach that honored their unique challenges and opportunities while still benefiting from our growing expertise across accounts. 1 month into our operation, industry news broke that Bradley had been fired from Market Edge. The company had lost 2 more significant accounts following our 3 founding clients, and the board had finally acknowledged the damage his approach had caused. I took no joy in his downfall, understanding that his failure represented lost jobs and opportunities for many former colleagues. MarketEdge itself struggled to recover from the client exodus. Their stock continued to decline and rumors of potential bankruptcy began circulating in industry publications. Richard reached out once more, this time not to demand my return, but to ask if I would consider acquiring certain MarketEdge assets and clients if they were forced to restructure. I promised to consider any reasonable proposal, recognizing that many good people still depended on the company for their livelihoods. While the professional success of our new agency was gratifying, the personal journey proved equally significant. In the weeks following my termination, my confidence had been shattered. Bradley's dismissive, replaceable sweetheart had wormed its way into my psyche, making me question my value and abilities, despite years of evidence to the contrary. Building Reynolds' relationship marketing became a process of rebuilding myself as well. Each client meeting, each successful campaign, each new team member who chose to join us helped restore what had been damaged. I developed new practices to maintain my mental well-being, including morning meditation, regular exercise, and keeping a journal of daily accomplishments, no matter how small. Perhaps the most unexpected lesson came in learning to view my firing as a gift rather than a tragedy. Had Bradley not dismissed me so callously, I might never have discovered my capacity for leadership or experienced the satisfaction of creating a company culture that truly reflected my values. What had seemed like an ending had actually been the beginning of something far more aligned with my authentic self. This perspective helped me approach our growing competition with MarketEdge without bitterness or vindictiveness. When we occasionally found ourselves pitching against them for new business, I insisted that we focus solely on our own strengths rather than highlighting their weaknesses. Our success does not require their failure became our unofficial mantra when discussing competitors. As our agency grew, I became increasingly passionate about mentoring other women in the industry, particularly those struggling with confidence or facing dismissive treatment in male-dominated environments. I began speaking at industry events about the value of relationship-based marketing, always including the story of being called replaceable as a cautionary tale about misunderstanding where true business value resides. During one such presentation, a young woman approached me afterward with tears in her eyes. My boss called me emotional and unstrategic last week when I advocated for a more personalized approach to our client communications, she told me. I was starting to believe him until I heard your story. These moments reinforced my commitment to creating change beyond just our own agency. The marketing industry, like many others, often undervalued traditionally feminine strengths like relationship building, empathy, and emotional intelligence in favor of traditionally masculine traits like assertiveness, data focus, standardization. Both approaches had merit, but the systematic devaluation of the former had created blind spots that damaged businesses and people alike. On the 1-year anniversary of my firing, our team gathered for a celebration we called Irreplaceable Day. It was part office party, part reflection on how far we had come. We had grown to 28 employees, doubled our client roster beyond the original 3, and were being recognized in industry publications as an innovative agency model that delivered exceptional results. During the celebration, Stephanie presented me with a framed needlepoint, saying "Replaceable Sweetheart" with a red circle and slash through it. A reminder of how wrong some people can be, she said as laughter filled the room. Standing there surrounded by colleagues who had become friends and a business built on authentic values, I felt a sense of completion. The journey from humiliation to vindication had transformed not just my career but my understanding of success itself. True success was not measured in titles or salaries, but in creating environments where people could thrive while delivering exceptional value. For anyone watching this who has been underestimated, dismissed, or called replaceable, remember this: your value does not diminish because someone fails to see it. Sometimes, the people who reject you are inadvertently directing you toward where you truly belong. The key is to trust your own worth, even when others question it, and to recognize that your greatest contributions often come from the very qualities others might dismiss. What about you? Have you ever been underestimated in your workplace or had someone dismiss your unique contributions? Share your experience in the comments below. I would love to hear how you handled it and what you learned from the experience. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more stories of workplace resilience and triumph. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and remember, you are never replaceable when you bring your authentic self to everything you do.